In 3 instances, they used the same line. They said that Dr. Craig trotted out his 5 points, his 5 arguments. And there's something about the use of the word, the phrase, he trotted them out.
Exactly. That's very pejorative.
Doesn't it say a lot that everybody knows what the 5 points are? And you're not springing a surprise, really? I mean...
No, that's true. There's no advantage of surprise in a debate like this, though I didn't use the same 5 arguments in this case with Krauss. I used the argument from contingency as well, the cosmological argument from contingency.
Okay.
And frankly, Kevin, it was alarming at how Dr. Krauss never understood this argument. It was very clear that he was just completely in the dark as to what the argument from contingency is. I wonder if he has ever heard it before, even though it's probably the most famous argument for the existence of God in the history of Western thought, along with the teleological argument. So there was really no excuse for not being able to interact substantively with these arguments.
2 blogs that I read that are prominent said the same thing about what you wear. They said,
"Oh, really?"
Dr. Craig wore his signature suit and tie. Sam Harris just wore a jacket and thing. Now, I'm thinking, what does that got to do with anything? And it does seem kind of pejorative. We should present ourselves, well, you look great, Bill. So, but what does that have? That just lends to the competitive, emotional air when you see things like that.
Kind of reminds me of the reviews of Hillary Clinton when she was on the campaign trail, and they would talk about what dress Hillary was wearing.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead
just don't wear a dress,
Bill. The substance of the argument.
Very true. So, Bill, it seems we're just going to have to, in a sense, put up with, but at the same time, perhaps try to educate some people who have an emotional hero vanquishing the foe attitude.
That's a good point, Kevin, because I don't want people to have that attitude toward me either. I don't want Christians to look at me in that way, or atheists to look at their heroes in that way. I want people to objectively dissect the arguments. And so one of the things I did on our Facebook page in the aftermath of the debate, because I was troubled by the sort of superficial responses we were getting, was to explain to people, how do you judge a debate? How is an academic debate to be judged? And I talked about how the first question you need to ask is, do the contentions of the debater, if carried, prove the proposition under the debate? Is it a prima facie case? Does his case, if he carries it, go to establish the proposition under the debate? That's the very first question. And then you need to ask, do the arguments that he presents support his contentions? And in my debates, I would give 2 or 5 contentions and then give supporting arguments. And you need to examine the premises of those arguments to see if they're true and whether those arguments then support the contentions. And that's the way you judge a debate, not by which debater said, you're no John Kennedy, Senator.
Yeah.
That sort of one-line zinger.
Another pejorative thing that comes up quite often. Dr. William Lane Craig, with his 8 years of high school and college debating skills. Now, that's pejorative by saying this was all style and no substance. That's absolutely wrong. That the substance here should send people to the books, send people to thinking, send people to God. There are certain formalities for making a good debate so that the issues come forth.
What debate training can do, I think, is to help you to organize your thoughts and to present them clearly. But it obviously won't make an invalid argument valid or false premises true. The argument still has to stand on its own merits. And the proof of the pudding that this is not just a matter of rhetoric is that many of these debates have been published in book form, where the opponents are given as long as they want to write a written response to the arguments, and then I get a final response, and so does my fellow debater. And so Stan Wallace, for example, edited my debate with Antony Flew into a book, and then we had about 7 respondents. My debates with Paul Kurtz have been edited in book form with many respondents. My debate with John Dominic Crossan and with Gerhard Lüdemann on the resurrection of Jesus have been put in book form with respondents. from both sides. And so this cannot be simply a matter of oratorical or rhetorical skill, because here is a quite different medium, a cool medium, a print medium, in which the arguments are aired and discussed. And I maintain the Christian side comes out looking very good.